For decades, the US led the world in innovation and technology. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google were pioneers in shaping the future of tech. Yet today, when you pick up a smartphone, the phrase, "made in China," dominates. How did a country once at the forefront of tech manufacturing fall so far behind? Let's take a step back and examine how the US went from a tech titan to trailing behind its rivals. What exactly went wrong? Before the 1960s, the United States was a dominant force in electronics manufacturing, home to industry giants like Motorola and IBM. These companies led innovations in radio, television, and computing, positioning the US as the global hub of technological advancement. American factories were not just centers of production, they were hubs of research and development, driving efficiency and progress. But by the late 1960s, things began to change. Rising labor costs and a shortage of skilled workers eroded the US's competitive edge. This decline coincided with the rapid rise of manufacturing powerhouses in Japan, South Korea, and, eventually, China, where labor was cheaper and production methods more efficient. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, global competition intensified, pushing many American companies to move their manufacturing operations to Asia. They were driven by the need to cut costs and protect profit margins in an increasingly globalized market. This outsourcing trend led to a sharp reduction in domestic manufacturing, especially in labor-intensive industries like electronics and automobiles. As American factories shuttered, China rapidly rose as the new global manufacturing powerhouse. This shift marked the beginning of the decline in the U.S. manufacturing sector and laid the foundation for the challenges America would face in industries like smartphones. The mass migration of production overseas was a pivotal moment in the downfall of America's once thriving manufacturing industry. In the past few decades, China has firmly established itself as the epicenter of global smartphone manufacturing. The country's rise can be attributed to several factors, chief among them being its highly advanced manufacturing techniques and a strong supply chain ecosystem. This network integrates component production, assembly, and logistics, allowing for a seamless process that can scale rapidly. China's manufacturing hubs are supported by state-of-the-art facilities, and the country boasts an efficient infrastructure that accelerates the pace of production. Additionally, China's competitive labor costs, combined with significant government incentives, have made it highly attractive for tech giants. The Chinese government provides tax breaks, subsidies, and infrastructure development that reduce operational costs, making it far more cost-effective to produce smartphones there than in the US or Europe. From the 1990s onward, major global companies such as Apple, Samsung, and Google increasingly moved their production to China. This shift was driven not only by cheaper labor but also by the country's access to an experienced workforce. A well-developed research and development (R&D) infrastructure, and proximity to essential parts suppliers. China's manufacturing capabilities extend beyond just assembling components. The country is also deeply involved in designing, testing, and innovating products. As a result, China now plays an indispensable role in the global supply chain, handling everything from the initial design stages to mass production. Over time, this has created a global network of manufacturers that stretches across China, Vietnam, and other parts of Asia, which the US has struggled to match. Even companies like Apple, which once had manufacturing roots in the US, now rely heavily on China, which has become the key player in making smartphones at scale for global markets. One of the biggest obstacles to phone manufacturing in the US is the significantly higher labor costs compared to countries like China and other low-cost manufacturing hubs. The high wages in the US make it economically unfeasible for companies to produce smartphones domestically, especially when competing with countries where labor is far cheaper. This presents a major hurdle for US-based manufacturers who aim to produce affordable phones while maintaining profitability. Additionally, the US is facing a shortage of skilled labor willing to take on jobs in manufacturing sectors such as mobile phone production. While the country boasts a highly educated workforce, fewer Americans are inclined to pursue manual labor positions in industries that require long working hours and relatively lower pay. As a result, there's a growing gap between the demand for skilled workers and the available workforce. making it difficult for companies to scale production domestically. A key example of these challenges is Motorola's failed attempt to establish smartphone production in the US in 2012. The company set up a factory in Texas, aiming to create affordable smartphones in the US market. However, despite the initial optimism, the factory was shut down after only 1 year due to high operational costs and insufficient demand for its products. Despite efforts to reduce production expenses and offer competitive smartphones, Motorola was unable to compete with the much lower manufacturing costs in countries like China and other parts of Asia. This failure serves as a stark reminder of the significant barriers the US faces in revitalizing its phone manufacturing industry, where a combination of high labor costs and a lack of robust production infrastructure makes it difficult to remain competitive on a global scale. The US government has taken significant steps to revive domestic manufacturing, particularly in the semiconductor industry, which plays a crucial role in phone production. The CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 allocated $52 billion to boost semiconductor manufacturing, aiming to reduce reliance on foreign suppliers and strengthen the U.S. supply chain. This initiative is part of a broader effort to re-establish the U.S. as a leader in high-tech manufacturing. To further encourage domestic production, the U.S. government has introduced tax incentives and subsidies aimed at companies like Apple and Google, encouraging them to build or expand production facilities within the U.S. These policies aim to reduce the economic gap between domestic and overseas manufacturing costs, making it more feasible for companies to invest in U.S. factories. Additionally, small businesses are contributing to the rebuilding process. Purism, for example, has successfully produced made in USA phones despite facing high labor costs. They focus on automation and improving production efficiency, which allows them to maintain profitability while manufacturing domestically. Purism's success is an example of how innovation and strategic investments in automation can help U.S. companies compete in the global phone manufacturing market. Automation has become a key solution to reducing the reliance on manual labor in phone manufacturing. As automation technology advances, companies like Purism have demonstrated that it is possible to produce phones in the US at competitive prices. By incorporating automated processes, these companies can maintain efficiency while mitigating the high labor costs typically associated with domestic production. The rise of Internet of Things, IoT, technology and other automation tools has also contributed to cost reduction and ease of implementation in countries like China, India, and Vietnam. These technologies enable mass production with less human intervention, making it easier for companies to streamline their operations and remain cost competitive in global markets. By adopting automation, companies can scale production effectively, making domestic manufacturing more feasible while competing with lower-cost manufacturing hubs around the world. While the path to revitalizing U.S. phone manufacturing is filled with challenges, it is not an impossible task. With the right approach and a strong partnership between the government and private companies, America can regain its place in the global phone production landscape. A key element in this process would be the involvement of global manufacturing giants like Foxconn, who possess the expertise and resources to set up operations in the U.S. if companies such as Apple and the U.S. government collaborate and provide the necessary support. Bringing smartphone production back to the U.S. could become a reality. At the same time, a major shift is occurring in global supply chains. Countries such as India, Vietnam, and Mexico are emerging as new manufacturing hubs, offering a viable alternative to China. These nations provide competitive labor costs and attractive business environments, making them key players in the electronics manufacturing sector. As the global supply chain diversifies, the U.S. could take advantage of this trend to rebuild its own manufacturing capabilities. By investing in advanced technologies, automation, and strategic partnerships, America has the potential to once again lead in the production of smartphones, securing a more resilient and sustainable future for its manufacturing industry. In conclusion, the decline of U.S. phone manufacturing can be attributed to several key factors, including high labor costs, lack of a domestic supply chain, and policy challenges. These issues have made it increasingly difficult for the U.S. to compete in the global smartphone market. However, the future of American manufacturing is not without hope. With the right reforms and policy, technology, and automation, the US could potentially revive its phone production sector. The road to recovery may require a concerted effort from both the government and private companies. Alongside strategic investments in global partnerships and advanced manufacturing technologies. So, is America ready for a manufacturing comeback? The potential is certainly there. But the path forward requires collaboration, vision, and commitment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on whether phone manufacturing can be successfully brought back to the US in the near future. Do you think the government will make enough effort to make this happen? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, please share it with others and comment your views. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more discussions on technology, manufacturing, and global trends.